And there we are. We are live, Nick. Welcome to the vault. You might have to peek your head in here, over here. Welcome to the vault, live. We're going to try this for the first time. I see people are coming in already. And since everybody's kind of locked up and kind of stuck indoors, I thought this might be a good idea because I haven't really had any guests. But I actually have Nick, my son. He's here from Heathen. He's peeking in, kind of helping me. We're going to bounce some stuff off of each other that we want to talk about. And just wanted to come in the vault, try to go live and see what's up. So let's talk about the State of the Union address. Obviously, metal in the world, not just metal, but music in general, has been shut off. Everything, baseball, sports, whatever. So entertainment has been completely shut down to this pandemic, which is unfortunate. And it's kind of taken the life out of some of us who make our living that way, live concerts. And obviously music is what, everybody, this is what our release is, especially for us metalheads. So while we're in, just to let you guys know what I'm doing, just kind of kicking back. I spoke to Tom Hunting about an hour ago, and Tom wanted me to say what's up. I told him I was going live. Tell everybody he's doing really good and that he is up at Lake Elminor. He lives up in the mountains with his wife, and they're just kind of waiting this out. And that the band's discussion with each other is, which we've actually had a recent discussion that, as soon as this subsides and they allow us to actually interact with people again, that we are going to be putting the songs, obviously putting the songs together and getting it done. We're going over of, potential producers. Obviously in the past, Andy Sneap has produced the records. Him being recently as a player with Judas Priest, as kind of would have probably put a damper on that. I don't know now because there's no live music going on, so maybe that'll create it, but I don't know any of that. I really, on my end, I don't handle any of that end. I'm just told, Zetro, come in, here's the lyrics, man, go learn them, we're going to do this, or here, write this one, and that's kind of how it works there. So just to let you guys know, keep it on the real, that we are definitely going to be working on stuff. I mean, obviously, we know it's been a while, and Gary's back full time now and totally into it. And for everybody that was with us on the Bass Strikes Back tour, it was just kind of so cool on so many levels because we had our friends with us, number one, which having Death Angel and Testament with us, and obviously everybody knows my history with Testament Legacy, so it's kind of cool to be out with those guys again after so many years. And then we've done so much with Death Angel over the last few years. It was good for all three of us to go out to Europe and the crowds out there. And if you guys are watching, any of you from Europe or England and anywhere we were, it was absolutely amazing to walk out for you guys every single night and see your faces and rage. After 35 years of doing this, to see plus crowds and not minus crowds is absolutely amazing. And you guys were raging hard, and I could see that some of you brought your families and brought your kids who are now getting older and able to do that, play in bands and get in the pit on their own, which is great because that makes that all that much better. And I'm sure with the success of the Bass Strikes Back tour was going to lead to us going and doing this in other parts of the world, meaning possibly the United States. But again, shut off now because we don't know how long it's going to be shut down for. So there's nothing in the books. There's nothing in line. We don't know what we're going to be doing live next. I don't think anybody really does. We're just going to have to play this out and see what's going to happen next. I know that I have Nick from Hatred here, my son, that you guys know. And I know that you guys had stuff lined up this summer, right?
Yeah. We had a full tour lined up this summer. We're going to go over to the Netherlands, over to Belgium, and to Holland. We're going to be doing Into the Grave Fest with Devin Townsend, Ailstorm.
Yeah, but that got killed, right?
That got, well, it says postponed, so,
Postponed till 2021.
That's
or, I mean, who knows, right?
I hope they'll allow us to come back next year.
It's still fresh, but
there's probably going to be a new Hatred album between then and now. So, and also Alcatraz Fest with Behemoth, Anthrax, As I Lay Dying, Emperor.
All dead.
Oh
All
man!
dead,
And then we were gonna do some club dates during the week. Try to hit up Germany.
That's what you do when you're over there doing that. So
unfortunately, all those that have been waiting for Hat Right, you're gonna have to wait just a little bit longer.
So yeah, I got him here and here anchoring on me. So kind of helping me out a little bit in here today while we're doing this live stream. It's first time in Zetro's Toxic Vault that we're in, and just to let you guys know that I have tons of guests lined up, and many people want to come in the vault and tell their stories like we had in the past. And remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Please share this link if you haven't, and leave me comments, because we read comments. And on the vault, we actually do episodes, Walter and I, with episodes where we just do comments, where we talk about your comments to us, because it's very important, and we want to know what you guys are thinking. It's the whole idea of doing this. Again, I don't get paid to do this. I'm doing this out of, just wanting to do it, and being able to touch with you guys. If you come on the road and see me, you know that I'm very accessible, and I'm always very approachable. And so, you guys, that. So, I figured I could do something here where it's kind of, it's real. I talk you guys real. There's really no bullshit here in the vault. So, and while I'm at it, I'm drinking my Death Wish coffee. Of course, the show is sponsored by Death Wish Coffee. Jeff Aarons and all the people at Death Wish, great people, and they take care of Zetro's Toxic Vault. I know, because we've had some contests, and we send out coffee and stuff that they send to give to us. So we love these guys. So remember, this is the heavy metal coffee, people. Death Wish Coffee. Drink it and get zippy. It's better than crank. Well, at least it's legal. Anyway, so what do you got, Nick?
We got a couple questions.
What's a couple? Give me one.
We got one. Caleb F wants to know: has Gary taken any inspiration from Slayer on writing this new Exodus album?
I haven't heard anything. Good question. I haven't heard anything solid enough to make that assumption yet. The only thing I could give you is that when we were on tour on the Bass Strikes Back tour, when we were about to sound check, usually Tom and Gary are the first people on stage to grab their stuff and noodle around. And I heard bits and pieces of some of what I'm assuming are going to be songs. I remember I was standing in the crowd and, just before sound check, and even the other guys in Death Angel and Testament was like, come on, is that new Exodus? Is that new Exodus? I'm like, I'm looking at them going, I'm assuming it is. It's some really heavy stuff that I'd never heard them play together before. So I'm assuming it is, but still too early to tell. I haven't heard any songs. So I wouldn't be able to tell that right now, but I don't have a problem with it. Slayer's always been my favorite thrash band, so even before Gary was in it. So to me, it's that'd be cool. I guess it'll always be Exodus, you guys. It'll always be Exodus. Gary is Exodus. He knows how to write Exodus, and he knows how to be Exodus. So it doesn't have to, he doesn't have to try to do something else. What comes out comes naturally heavy, because that's what he is. I mean, that's his makeup. That's why he is who he is. That's exactly why Jeff handpicked him to, take over when even Jeff was still alive. So it's, there's a lot goes to that, but it's going to be sure violent brutality like Exodus has always showed. I'm sure of it.
All right. Got to put you on the spot here. We have a Mike Vanek ask, will we ever see an Exodus Patriot tour?
Wow, huh? Vanek, huh? Right on, Vanek. Yeah, of course you're going to say something like that. Yeah, I'd love to see a Exodus Patriot tour. Hatred needs to get an agent first, and then we will definitely talk. See, my agency doesn't talk to bands that don't have an agent. So, Mike, they're going to work on that. But we've already done some live shows. They played the Chapel with us and Slim. So, every time that we play in the Bay Area, I'm like, hey guys, the kids want to play. So I definitely push that, and they're good enough. The band is good enough. They can handle it. My sons can handle their own. I think you guys are. You guys can handle it. There. You know what I mean? So it's good that you guys are coming in. So But you're working on new stuff now.
Oh
too,
yeah,
right?
yeah, we're working on
There's not going to be another 3 years, is there?
No. We were supposed to actually release this. We were supposed to record it 2 months ago, actually, but since it's Corona bull crap, we've had to push it off. So it's probably going to be an early. We have the album artwork. Paulo Girardi finished it. We have.
I saw it. It's great.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's sick.
It's going to make a great shirt.
Sick.
And that's everything.
It's
so
sick,
see,
Paulo.
so again, Hatred is like they're busy on doing stuff. This is another thing that I think is a good thing to touch on is with all of the musicians right now at home because of the pandemic. We're probably going to get a shitload of killer records next year because there's been nothing left to do.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? Everybody's been isolated. I mean, the ones that you thought might have been on tour this year are going, screw it. I think we're just going to go and write a new record and then tour on that. I know there's so many records that are ready to be released and they can't be because they don't have them in stock. They all stopped them. And one that did, Titans of Creation got released.
Yeah, that's ballsy.
They had to do it, and I'll tell you what. Thank God, because nothing new has come out, and what new?
Well, that's Havoc and Warbringer 2. That's a great new record.
That is a great record.
Check it out.
Well, that's the thing is when I get to go back in the studio and actually have people here that's not my son. I'm actually talking about getting Chuck to come into the vault, and him and I are going to go over the tracks on Titans of Creation. We talked about that when we were on tour on the Bass Strikes Back tour in Europe, and it was supposed to happen already. Same thing with Ted Aguilar. He was supposed to come in, and we were going to tell some road stories because, believe me, some shit went down on that tour. I did tell the strip search story last week. That was fun, but we had the Poseidon adventure, and I haven't even got to tell that, and I want to tell that with one of the other guys, but I have a lot of other guests that I do have lined up, and I'm going to have them come in, and we're just going to keep, keeping it up, doing what we do here in the vault. Still the same stupid movie reviews. I don't care if you guys don't like them. I like doing them. It makes me feel like I'm a fucking movie critic. So just leave me alone. You guys can build a set somewhere, do your own show, and then you can see how that works. But I like to go to the movies, and I like to talk about it. I know that it's not as interesting as the music stuff, but hey, I got to figure out other shit to do while I'm sitting in here, with all my toys that I have allowed, because that's my house. Is just decorated in horror and toys and stuff. This is basically my house. So what else we got?
So I thought it was kind of a cool question because I was a part of this process, but he wants to know what was it like recording the new Creature Feature song, that process.
That was fun. There's certain things in life that you get to do, and they're your bucket list shit. And when I was a kid, obviously there wasn't 300 channels like you're exposed to now. If you're not my age, which is 56 years old, and you did not grow up in the 70s, then you wouldn't know that maybe in the middle of June, the only time to get a horror movie was once a week on a show called Creature Features. It was hosted by a guy named Bob Wilkins. And this was like religious staple for me being the horror guy I am, because again, there was only 13 channels. And the other channels, when they did run some type of, off movie, would never be a horror movie. You had to wait till Halloween to catch them all. And you had to stay home literally and watch one after the other. And you couldn't flip around and have multiple screens going on trying to watch them, even if you tried. So I loved Creature Features. It was a part of me, who I am, and the staple of that. And so I inquired. I knew somebody who was a guest on the show, actually Streffen Taylor from Sacrilege, BC. and who does his own films now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
He says, "Yeah, you want to be a guest?" And I became a guest. And when I was talking to the host, Mr. Vincent Van Dahl, I says, "How come you don't use the old one?" He goes, "Well, we were looking for somebody to renew it." And I says, "I'll do it." He goes, "You serious?" I said, "Sure." So I recruited you and Costa.
Yeah.
I made Costa play the guitar and the bass on it, and I had Nick here do the drums on it, and we went into Purnell's studio.
Yeah,
We went
with Juan. That was fun.
To try it studios.
I remember it
with
was
Juan Urtiaga,
yeah.
who does many
Yeah.
many famous metal and just rock records in the Bay Area. The guy, if you need a great record or demo, he's the guy to do it. He's done everything from Testament, Machine Head, Vicious Rumors, Night Ranger. He's done so much. Great guy. We went in there and we did about an afternoon, probably about
3 hours, in and out. Yeah.
We did that,
Yeah.
and I get a smile on my face every week when I watch the intro, because to me, I love all the monsters that was created in the new intro along with the song. So it was a lot of fun to answer that question. That was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a great
It's
time.
the cool shit in life that I'm very fortunate that I get to do. Being able to being the singer for Exodus, I get to do really some cool shit that, believe me, I don't take for granted. I'm very fortunate I'm in the position that I get to play with a lot of my heroes. I get to, play cool concerts and tour the world, and I'm very fortunate. I do not take that for granted. And the Creature Feature thing was just so much fun for me. So every week when I hear the opening credits open up and it's our song, it's kind of cool. So
every once in a while, I'll tune in just to check out.
Just to hear the song. Well, I watch it every week because I'm
to
a
watch
geek.
Vincent's little.
Of course, the monologues are the best. That's the whole show's the monologues. So yeah, that's what Creature Features means to me. And I mean, I don't know if Jeff's watching this right now because he, the producer of the show, actually, the Creature Features does watch the show from time to time, and he gives me pointers on my show. He's helped me on my Jeff Bodine. Actually, you see him in my credits. He's helped me on many things on my show, and I probably wouldn't be able to do Zetro's Toxic Vault if I didn't have his direction and his help. So thanks to Jeff Bodine and all of my family at Creature Features that helped me out. So what else we got?
Speaking of the cool shit you get to do, have you ever been truly starstruck? Did anyone ever starstruck you where you were just, damn? I know you don't really get like that. No. You don't particularly get like that. Neither do I. Because I was exposed at a young age.
Exactly, because you were around.
And I work for the A's, so I've seen baseball players and football players. So it's,
I can't think of anybody that I was like, oh my God, that's him standing right there. I've been around some pretty. I can't say I don't think so. I don't look at it that way. I think that's what makes it very easy for me to go on stage and just not be afraid, because again, I'm not afraid to talk to crowds or whatever. So I'm not afraid of other people who maybe have celebrity in the world. And I've always said, and he is still alive. If I could meet anybody, I would love to have lunch with Mel Brooks, and that's about the only one. I don't think I would necessarily even be starstruck, but musician-wise, probably nobody other than maybe the guys in Zeppelin, maybe Jimmy Page, or because that's what was my first hard rock intro to hard rock when I was 8 years old. So probably them, or even maybe more so than Sabbath, because I got to tour with Sabbath in '92, and I've been around Ozzy in certain places and certain times, so I don't think that is much so, but not starstruck necessarily.
Yeah. People want to know what are some good horror movies to watch during this quarantine. Have you found any new ones that
I did see The Invisible Man before I actually watched it in England the last week before the tour, and I liked that a lot, and I kind of. Horror movies are always hit and miss when I'm quarantined. I don't want to be strapped to one, because once I start watching them, I keep watching them. I do like What We Do in the Shadows, which has just had their second season premiere. That is great. And also Rick and Morty, as you can see. Pickle Rick and Morty had just started the second part of their fourth season, and I watch that a lot. I'm a cartoon guy. I do watch a lot of the Adult Swim stuff at night. I'm a big South Park guy, and I love South Park. I can watch those over and over again. The irony in all of them, the metaphors, the sarcasm, the satire, the dialogue is just everything is perfect in there. So I watch wrestling, and that's what we're gonna get into a little bit right now. I do like wrestling. I have my whole life. I started watching wrestling in 1972, and here, let's just back that up.
Back that up.
If we back it up, just make sure we don't lose the ball. Back that up. I started watching wrestling in '72, and in the Bay Area, it was called Big Time Wrestling, and it was when The Rock's father actually was here, Rocky Johnson and Pat Patterson and Peter Maivia, which is The Rock's grandfather, and Haystack Calhoun and Man Mountain Mike and the Masked Interns. And I watched it every week.
Legends.
Classic stuff. And then I got into it.
Midnight Express, Jim Cornette.
Well, then I got into that. That was in the late 70s, early 80s. Then when TBS out of Atlanta came to California on cable, then I got to see World Championship Wrestling, the NWA.
Oh, yeah.
It was a Northern Wrestling Alliance.
National
Wrestling Alliance. And I started watching it then. And even so, and that's like, that was Buzz Sawyer and Wildfire Tommy Rich and
Tully Blanchard.
Tully Blanchard, Ric Flair, Ole Anderson, Arn Anderson, Larry Hansen, the American Dreams, Dusty Rhodes,
Ricky, the Dragon Steel.
Mad Dog Vachon, Ivan Koloff, Nikita Koloff, all of that killer wrestling that back in the day, before it even, the WWE had captured on it. Because we had a faction here called the AWA.
Okay.
It's the American Wrestling Alliance. And our champion was Nick Bockwinkel.
Nick Bockwinkel.
Nick Bockwinkel was the champion here. And a few not so famous wrestlers at that time. Scott Hall wrestled in the AWA. And that's where because it was regional at that time. I mean, the NWA or WWF wouldn't come to the West Coast. It was too much money. So you kind of watched your own wrestling. And Playboy Buddy Rose. Remember I took you
I remember I was a young kid.
And so I initially watched it. Look at the dogs are scratching on the door. The door of the vault, the dogs. And so I watched wrestling early on, and I always watched it in any faction. I mean, have you seen that Hollywood wrestling? Have you watched that?
The new NWA?
No, it's like
studio?
Yeah, it's in a studio. I don't know, like Saturday night on some Channel 396. There's
I don't know.
I'll watch anything anyway.
But yeah, they've revamped.
I'll watch anything. And most of the wrestling that I mean, I don't care if it's good. I mean, I watch Impact. I think Impact is good.
I watch SmackDown.
From time to time, I watch SmackDown. I watch Raw. Although I'm not as much as I used to watch. And then, I've always watched. We watched when you were a kid. You were 3 years old. WCW, WWF, or was it even WWF?
It was WWF. Yeah, they changed the name.
Yeah, because you were. Remember, I had you dressed as Hulk.
Oh yeah, me and Cody both came. That's Hollywood
Hulk Hogan. He was 3 years old. Hollywood.
Cow Palace, Super Brawl,
Cow Palace in 80 or 96.
Well, we went 3 years in a row, so I think it was 97, 98, 99. We went because all 3 years they did Super Brawl at the Cow Palace.
But we used to go to what was the other ones we went to? Thunder.
Thunder, yeah, we went to Thunder a few times.
So we paid attention to wrestling for many, many years, and we've known all of the wrestlers, and also being into heavy metal. I know that a lot of the hockey guys were into heavy metal. I know back in the early days of Exodus, I actually played a celebrity game with guys like Luke Robitaille and Marty McSorley and Steve Duchesne. They're all metalheads. They were young. Yammer Yarger. Big metalhead,
Dave Coulier.
Yeah, big metal. Well, he wasn't a metalhead. I don't know if he was a metalhead, but they were metalheads, So I would see certain people and certain things would tell me if they were metalhead or not. So here comes all of a sudden out of WCW is this guy, and he's called the Lionheart.
Long blonde hair,
Chris Jericho. And it's like, okay, cool. And he's kind of a cool wrestler and a fan favorite, and his move was the Walls of Jericho. Now, I knew there was a band called the Walls of Jericho. you know,
or is the Halloween album?
Halloween record. That's right.
Yeah.
No, there's actually a band
now
called,
there's a band. I think that was later.
Maybe they were back then.
Were they in the 90s? Okay.
And then even a Halloween record called The Walls of Jericho. So I'm thinking, wow. I mean, I wonder what the coincidence is there. So it was probably about 7 or 8 years later, and you were the one that told me.
Yeah.
And I think it was around Tempo of the Dam.
It was because Andy Sneap was playing with him at that time, so it was kind of like,
so
you know.
Again, I know who everybody is. I'm watching Y2J. I love him. And Nick goes, hey, Jericho has a metal band. And I'm like, Jericho who? And he's all, Chris Jericho. I'm like, no way. He's like, yeah, they're called Fozzy. I'm like, a metal band. Chris Jericho has a metal band. And I mean, I'm not going to rip on other celebrities that try to do this music that we do, and they think because they're an actor or they're in some type of music that they can just dip in. Metalheads are genuine. Metalheads will know if it's real or not. And I'll give you an example. A couple of years ago, Will Smith's wife, Jada Pinkett, thought it was going to be cool to start an all, metal band with herself in it as a female singer, and she used other notable, actually credible black musicians in the band, and the crowd was not having it because you guys are real. You guys know what's being shoved down your throat or not, and it wasn't genuine. And it's funny because I remember one month you got a revolver and your mother got a red book. And she's on the cover of the red book, which
like
is
a female style
record. She's all in a pretty yellow thing, holding her legs with flowers, like it's springtime. Then in four pages in, she's standing with this metal band. Again, metalheads, you're the smartest of them all. You know better. You know how these guys are. You know what I mean? They try to dip in what we do and try to fake it because it doesn't work, and they usually get called on out of it.
Right.
And so I'm thinking, okay, Jericho has a band. They're called Fozzy. And knowing his guitar player, Andy Sneap, which is actually played in Sabat.
Stuck Mojo too, right?
Yeah. And he I think he produced them. I don't think he
he did.
Okay. I think he produced them. Knowing that, wow, he's a pretty credible guitar player. I think the first record was called Happenstance, right? The first Fozzy record. I'm not quite. I think it was called Happenstance, and Nicholas played it for me.
Yeah.
And actually we got to play with him.
Yeah, that was a few more years down the line. Yeah,
a few years down the line, but it's great that. And I'll say this: anything Jericho touches turns to gold.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is.
He really he knows what he's doing. He's definitely true heavy metal. He knows the music business. He knows the wrestling, but he knows any business he's getting into.
Podcasting.
His podcast. I mean, everything he does, it does really well. Yeah. And I actually, when the last record, when I heard the single Judas, I don't really text him much because I know that he's very, very busy, and I don't like to bother other guys because people don't bother me. And I was like, I'll say this, that.
The last record was their best release.
I say, boy, they are a tight band. They really got it together.
Yeah.
That song, vocally, musically, really has a groove. That's why it's done so well. And I just text him to saying, that, I don't wrestle. I don't do all these other things. I just play music. And man, he really nailed on it. I really enjoy the song. I listen to the song even now all the time. I love that. If you go online, you can see all the kids and people that text him in that perform the song different ways.
Yeah.
And that's cool. So which brings me to AEW. And again, strikes gold with AEW.
Strikes gold. It was a big coincidence. Basically, Cody Rhodes was not happy in the WWE. He, asked for his release. They granted his release. He went over to Japan and Ring of Honor and met up with, the Young Bucks, which are very up-and-coming, great tag team, and Kenny Omega. The great wrestler. And then, they, throughout time, they got the Khans, who own the Jacksonville Jaguars, to fund it because the son is a huge wrestling fan, and he would have his dad take him to old school ECW events, old school, WWE events, WWF back in the time, WCW, and that kind of thing. So they got together and funded this thing, and Jericho's contract was up with the WWE, and that he's kind of what catapulted them to that next level, because I don't think they would have struck their deal with TNT if they didn't have a mainstream household name like Chris Jericho.
But they did it right, dude.
They did it right.
Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone. I mean, the feel is the old school wrestling.
They've been around a little over a year, and they've got already a lot of great homegrown talent. As like Hangman Adam Page, Darby Allin, Joey Janela.
I love the Inner Circle. I love when Jericho plays a heel. It's my favorite, and he's the greatest at it. You know what I mean? And I think he sells his own champagne now.
Oh, he does. Every week he has a new shirt on.
Yeah.
The line he said the previous week, he's just
it's great. I love wrestling. I'm enjoying watching AEW every Wednesday night. But I'll have to say this. Without the crowd, bro, for some reason it
takes that element out of
wrestling. I don't know. I guess
you need
element.
The pops, I need the chants,
I need the yellers. I need the screamers.
Yeah.
God, is that what sports is going to be like when they go back?
Man, I hope not, but it's looking that way.
I mean,
I heard,
Nick and I are A's season ticket holders, and no A's games.
No, I mean, I heard they're going to have a meeting next week about when they're going to start this season or what they're going to do with the season, baseball-wise. But, yeah, it's been rough.
I mean, hockey and basketball.
Yeah.
Us being Warrior fans, we'll take this.
Yeah.
We'll take this.
I love that.
We'll just start over next season. Can we have the first?
We'll see you, LeBron.
Can we still have the first pick? We'll be back. We'll be back. All you Golden State Warrior haters, go ahead. Laugh, 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 ha, ha. Laugh 3 times. Ha, ha, ha. It doesn't matter. They're going to be back. You know that. And so...
yeah, that definitely it takes the human element out of wrestling, but still, I mean, if you're in for it, for the art of it and the characters, you can kind of just zone that out. But yeah, it's AEW is doing great. So we're proud to say we're friends with Chris. He's
actually taken care of us on many times.
Several times. Yeah, we got to play with him and San Francisco.
Yeah, we actually played with them in Saxon, remember?
Yeah. And he was totally approachable. I mean, obviously, as you know, in this last 10 minutes, I'm a huge wrestling fan. So coming up to him, like, I wasn't like he got asked starstruck, but it was just like crazy that this is Chris Jericho. This is that heel, that character I've been watching since WCW. And, you know, I'm just having a drink with him backstage, and it was great. It was just me and him for like about 5 minutes. And I got to ask him some cool questions. And he was actually asking me questions. He was like, asking me how it was being in a band with my dad, and can old man keep up with you young kids and that kind of stuff.
Come on now.
He was funny.
Come on
he
now.
He was funny, and I remember
I'm on fire, kids.
He watched our entire set. Because at the DNA Lounge in San Francisco, they had the second level, and he was sitting up there, and he had this area kind of tarped off to himself and his band and stuff. And I remember, if you knew it from when he debuted in WWE, he did his pose where he looked like Jesus. So in between a song, I looked at him and I did his pose that kind of like that. He smiled. So it was kind of that's my cool Jericho story.
Back to the cool things that we're absolutely fortunate to be able to do because of what we're doing and the people we get to be around. And it's obviously, for all the fans that are watching this right now, we wouldn't be able to do this without you. I would not be 35 years in this business if it wasn't for you guys bringing your families and other people. Because, I've met some of you fans that have become my friends, and some of you fans that I talk to, through social media and online, and I see you in the crowd. We're not friends, and you know who you are, and it's been kind of cool to have that relationship with you guys, and I'll always be that way. This part of me has never really changed. So, what else you got for me, Nick?
All right, so they want to know. I know you're not too much of a studio guy, but what was your most favorite album you've ever recorded? Exodus, Tenet, Legacy, Double Death Patrol, etc.
I have to be honest with all of you guys, and there's no secret about this whatsoever. I hate it. I hate recording. It's boring. It's in there. It seems very monotonous. Although some people totally get into it. They get into this creative spot on it. I am not one of those. Temple of the Damned was probably the most tedious record. Because first time I worked with Andy, and Andy's an amazing producer. And you can only get quality stuff from an amazing producer if you follow discipline. So that one was pretty tough. I was probably most excited about Pleasures of the Flesh because it was my first record and first venture into it. And Exodus had already had a name for themselves. So the album was, kind of highly anticipated when it did come out, and so that was exciting. Fabulous Disaster was fun because it was a time when we were just young and reckless, and all we lived for was the band and what we could do next, and how much the party was going to happen, and can't wait to get on tour and what we're going to do this, and that's kind of the mentality back then. I like doing them all, I guess. I like when the last day. We went to England to record Force of Habit, and we worked with Chris Tangrides, who had recorded Painkiller, actually, and a lot of the famous Thin Lizzy stuff, Thunder and Lightning and Renegade, and the Renegade record, actually. And I liked that. I love those albums, and I worship the sound on those records. So we brought him in, and it was fun working with him. Although the vocal approach to Force of Habit wasn't something I was necessarily used to or comfortable with to this day. So, I don't know. I'd probably have to say between Pleasure's Fabulous and Tempo. Although Blood In, Blood Out was fun, it just was really fast. I had no time to really enjoy it. I had to get it done. So, but that was cool too. I mean, it was being back in and doing it again. It was real fresh, so that was fun.
Right on. Cool. Someone wants to know, what's the most embarrassing moment you had on stage?
I don't know if it was embarrassing, because I don't feel that I can be embarrassed. It's like when you up there with the mic and you're talking to anywhere from 500 to 50,000 people. Anything you say at any one time could be construed as embarrassing by someone else. I remember we were in Bristol one time. We played a place called the Beer Keller. And the stage, there was a certain part of the stage where you were not supposed to step. And it even had this sign on it that says, "Do not step here." And this was back in the days when we used to fly off of shit and jump off the risers. And I remember, this was total Spinal Tap shit right here. I remember I jumped off the riser and kind of did a spin, and when I looked down, my feet were going straight for that part that said, "Do not step here." And I went through the stage, all the way down to where my arms were pinned in there like that. So the part where there was supposed to be vocals, there was no vocals because my hand was stuck down in like this, to whereas the roadies had to pick me up one side, one shoulder, and literally pull me out of that hole. And I don't know if that was embarrassing. It was definitely funny. Definitely a moment out of a Spinal Tap movie for sure. But other than that, that's the, I don't know. I don't get embarrassed really, and I don't, I don't think about it like that. So I don't get embarrassed. So I don't,
All right. Someone wants to know, will you ever let Tom Hunting sing a song?
He did. He sang the if you get Blood In, Blood Out, he sang what was the Angel Witch cover we did?
Angel of Death.
Angel of Death. He sang that. That's not me singing, that's Tom. See? So now go back to Blood In, Blood Out. Go to the B side, you can find it, and he sang it. Was it Angel of Death?
Yeah, Angel of Death.
Yeah. Yeah, Tom sang that. Tom's a good singer.
He is. He's a good singer. After the boat ride from hell, will you guys still be opening to play 70,000 Tons of Metal?
Well, the last night on the 70,000 Tons was a fucking whirlwind too, man. There was a tornado going on there. But, yeah, you have to do it. They're fun, you know what I mean? And they're very fan-friendly. They're really, it's where, I mean, honestly, you guys, the fans, get to be right next to us. I mean, it's close proximity. You're on a fucking boat in the middle of the water. Ain't really nowhere to go. So if you wanted to be around your heavy metal heroes, so that's the way to go. But yeah, I mean, what happened happened, and we came out all right. And again, I'm going to have to get on that ferry for as long as I'm touring Europe, and as long as I'm doing this. Anytime I want to go to Finland from Sweden, I'm going to have to take that ferry. I've done it many times before. It's just very convenient. People like it. You can sleep, you can party, you can eat. So it's just we came out alive. So no harm, no foul.
All right. Someone wants to know favorite tour you've been a part of.
Headbangers Ball was a blast, and that's always come up because, again, we were young, and the shit that went on that tour. Again, I'm not gonna incriminate anybody, but we had some fun on that tour. But to be honest with you, this last one we just did with Testament and Death Angel was so much fun because we were just good friends out on tour together. And, the crowds were packed every night and the fans were very juiced to see all three bands. And it was, they were coming droves. And I mean, to think about this music, and, we're bands from the 80s and we're still being able to crush it together like that with so many, loyal, great fans that we have. Metal fans anyway. That's why, nobody ever says to metal fans, you're still into that. If you're a metalhead, you'll be into that to the day you die. It's just the way it is. It's the way I am. I get in the car, I listen to music, I go in the shower, I got a little speaker in there. It's metal or hard rock or something. No, last week I listened to Cheech and Chong, Los Cochinos, the album all the way through. That was funny. I listen to Richard Pryor every once in a while too. But it's metal, it's hard rock. I don't go in there and put the new Kanye West album. I couldn't even tell you if he was rapping who he is. I don't listen to that type of thing. I'm like you guys. I'm metalhead. Horror and metal, damn it.
So a lot of people are asking your thoughts on the New Testament record. More specifically, what's your favorite song on it?
Oh, False Prophets, because I wrote it. Come on. Of course you're going to say that. Look, check the album credits, people.
Oh.
I wrote songs on that album. I write songs on every one of the Testament records. Actually, they didn't put it in the credits last time on the Brotherhood of the Snake. But I think it's a very strong record from top to bottom. What do they do that sucks? Nothing, right? Nothing. I mean, the album's heavy, great riffs, chunky. The leads are intense. The drumming is top notch. Come on, you got Stevie D and Gene Hoglan as your rhythm, section. You got Eric Peterson and Alex Skolnick writing your riffs, and you got the master Chuck Billy. Well, again, since what have they done that has sucked? Nothing. So what has any thrash metal bands over the last couple of years, and I'm talking about the main ones, done that has sucked? Nothing. Everyone fucking last. For All Kings was absolute. I dug it. I dug Repentless. Dystopia was fucking awesome. Death Angel record. Humanicide got nominated for a fucking Grammy. And enough said. So I'm with all you guys. Lucky it got released before the pandemic, so there was something new to listen to. So yeah, I'm definitely pro that new. Go get yourself the new Titans of Creation, and they're going to be ready to go out on tour with that one as soon as this stuff all clears up, because it's one of those things where we just have to wait and see till we can get back to live shows. But all of us are chomping at the bit right now. Yep. Believe me, to get this done and to get out on the road. I know you're finally, you guys are going back to Europe and
oh man,
no more.
So we had a question earlier about the new Heathen album, but will Lee be busy with Heathen this next year?
Well, obviously nobody's going to be busy with anybody this next year, but I guess plans were to do that, and I've heard cuts from the record, and that's going to be the next one that's really, really, really good. I mean, I have to give hats off to Craig and Lum, who had played with Exodus live over the last 5.5 years, and he kept us going so that Gary could go do Slayer. And I'll just say this, that he drove the Cadillac on this album, and man, lyrically, musically, it's just really, really good. Zeus produced the record. He's done Hatebreed and stuff.
Yeah,
so,
okay.
And I'm just saying, I got to hear a couple of cuts. I think they were not totally mixed while I was on Bass Strikes Back tour, and I got it. Yeah, the new Heathen record. You're going to do yourself a favor, all of those guys. When that thing drops, go pick it up for sure. Definitely.
Someone wants to know, what's your favorite strain of weed?
Indica. Anything that gets you totally, completely obliterated. I know people are like, oh, I like the sativa because I like to relax and I like the taste. Fuck the taste. Fuck relaxing. I want to get like I want that weed the minute I smoked it to hit me and go, wow. In fact, I got some in Tampere in Finland on this last tour that I had to tell Jack. Jack got it. It was some Jack Herrera. Jack Gibson got it for me from a friend of his. It seemed expensive at the time, but I have to tell you something, people. Me being the connoisseur I am, that was some of the best fucking weed I had smoked ever, dude. Ever. And it was pretty fucking good. And like, to whereas after I took 3 hits, I was like, oh no, I'm good. And I want you people to know I can keep smoking all day. I'm never good. I bust through an ounce of the killer a week at least. So that's just how it's always been. I started smoking weed in 76. If you've seen my episode on that, you would have learned that I've been smoking weed now for a long, long time. And that's basically all I do. I don't drink alcohol. I don't do any other drugs. Although this last tour I did, I had some drinks. I actually got drunk with Gary and Lee a couple of times. It was kind of fun. Not like I don't miss it. Now that I'm back home, I wouldn't dare touch it. I wouldn't dare drive it. I had a driver, so I didn't have to worry about it. But I had some fun with it. But people know me as pothead. I smoke weed. I've always done that. I live in California where it's legal. You can grow it. You can, have it. So that's just the way it is. So always been a burnout. Always will be a burnout. But shit, bring me to a basketball court, football, baseball, I'll kick your ass. No. So what else we got, Nick?
Right, we got a few more questions.
Okay.
So someone's asking about do you know the Suicide Angels? What are your thoughts on them?
Suicidal Angels? Yes, I do.
Suicide Angels, yeah.
Yeah, Suicidal Angels, I do. They're my friends from Greece, and they
Suicidal Angels, sorry.
Yeah, Suicidal Angels. I know them. They're from Greece. They're a bunch of malakas. And we actually had them on tour with us. It was Suicidal Angels, Death Angel, Sodom, and Exodus, and in December of 2018 in Europe. And I love those guys. They're a really good thrash band. I mean, of all, there's like newer thrash bands, and although they're not all that new, they've been around maybe 20 years now, probably 2000.
He says he discovered them in 07, so...
Yeah, but again, they've been around, but I like Suicidal Angels a lot, and a great band all around. Fuck yeah, I hope they keep going.
All right, when are we going to get a Force of Habit episode?
As soon as the pandemic clears, I'm going to get Walter back in here, and I will... Is that the next one? I believe that's the next one in line. Yeah, you guys are all going to want to hear that one. So, the Force to have the why we don't play anything off that record, which again, I'll vaguely get into it. There are songs I love on Force of Habit, truly love. But it's the only Exodus record where there is a few songs where I truly go, when I hear them, when your bubbles on your back and your hair standing, you just go, ugh. Well, that's what happens during that, So anyway, I've had some fun here, kind of checked in with you guys. I may do this, we can do this maybe
once or
twice a week until the pandemic gets going. Remember to subscribe to my channel and share this and leave me comments, because we're going to put this up on my channel. Now it's being recorded. Wayne is at home right now. I know you are, Wayne. Watching, going, oh yeah, I'm going to record. That's good. It'll be up on YouTube real quick. And so he's going to get that going. So then you could watch this obviously at other times. So for Nick Souza from Hatred,
stay heavy.
And I'll see you guys live in the vault soon, or just in the vault soon. All right? See ya.